How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Atlantic Pressure Washers. Sorry about the technical difficulties that we're having today. COVID-19 is not giving us any favors, and YouTube's not helping us right now either. So we're live streaming from Facebook Live, our soft wash seminar that was supposed to be this fun party today, but we're going to try to go over just about all the same things that we were going to do in person, but we're going to give you just an overview for now and then follow through with some literature and documents, videos, and so forth later in the week. So we're going to start this off. I'm going to give it over to Wagner and let him give you his spiel that he's come up with.
All right, so we did a few illustrations, but like he said, we're experiencing a lot of technical difficulties today, so we're going to keep this a little more basic than we had originally planned. To start off with, I just want to kind of clarify the difference between pressure washing, soft washing, and power washing. You'll notice that all three of those are phrases that are coined by this industry. And if you talk to different manufacturers, you talk to different guys that are working in the trade, you talk to all these different guys that are really using the equipment, there's all kinds of definitions that people are going to throw at you. But for all intents and purposes, the ones that we're going to use are the following. So the first thing we have is pressure washing. This is the primary application in using higher pressure or higher impact to clean the surface. This started to become a little more dated once people started picking up a lot of trends in the industry as this trade grew with a lot of popularity. A lot of people noticed that higher pressure or higher impact on the surface wasn't necessarily a good thing. And because of that, the industry kind of evolved a little bit, and that's where we get to power washing. Power washing, when we're talking about it, is the application of heated water to do the cleaning of the surface. This is really effective in a lot of masonry trades. This is effective when you're cleaning any kind of flat work, and this is something that is still a really effective niche in the industry, making it relatively something useful that a lot of guys are still using. Now, the third one that we're going to focus on a lot today is soft washing. This is whenever you're using detergent to do the primary cleaning. And what I mean by that is instead of using temperature, instead of using just higher force, you're really focusing on letting your detergents do the work for you. A lot of times it's higher volumes of water, and it's just that, shooting detergents on the surface, letting those do the heavy lifting for you, and then basically going ahead and ripping them off. This isn't something that's really new to the industry. It's probably, that term's been around for maybe 7 to 8 years, but before that, there were even fleet washers that were doing this, just with downstream injectors, where they were letting just the chemicals really do the work for them. If you're a rookie in the industry, you'll notice that there's a lot of hate around the words pressure. You'll notice that there's a lot of guys that are trying to steer away from pressure washing because of the damage that it can cause. And to just clarify, we're not going to touch on any of that today. We're not going to bash any of that. But all three of these are still things that we need to focus on in the industry as a whole, because every single one of them still has a really good impact when you're talking about cleaning something. So to get us going into soft washing, I'll turn it back over to Josh, and he's going to talk about some detergents for us.
So we've got three major forms of detergents that are popular in both pressure washing and soft washing. Of course, everybody is familiar with sodium hypochlorite, which is a sanitizer for our purposes. Then you've got your alkaline detergents or degreasers, and you have acidic agents like your oxalic acid and hydrofluoric acid, or HF. So those are our three primary detergent categories that we focus on. So if when you're working with degreasers, most degreasers are going to break down the dirt itself that's on the surface. The chemical agents in your degreasers help to emulsify the debris or contaminant that's on the surface. So that's encapsulating it and helping to carry it and flush it away from the surface, which of course surfactants help with that as well. When you work with acids, most cases the acid is actually breaking down a very small microscopic level of the surface so that the stain can break loose from the surface. And then of course our SH sanitizers, and peroxide, those sorts of things, those are actually going to try to kill and eliminate the mechanism that's on the surface that's causing the dirt to be there. So those are our primary cleaning agents. In soft washing, the sanitation agents and degreasing agents are the most popular. it's not as common to use acid for your soft washing application.
Kind of touch on that. When you're doing different types of cleaning, you're going to require different products. And like you said, sodium hypochlorite and degreaser, they're going to be what most guys that are cleaning vertical surfaces are using. Like you said about acids, there's a lot of times they're used for mineral staining. That's your rust, that's your efflorescence, that's your calcium buildup. And sometimes you can even use them for oxidation removal. Kind of touch on some of the tools that we have. The first one that we're going to hold up is a downstream injector. So this was, I guess, originally used for a lot of guys in the fleet washing industry. They use it more for basically applying soap with their pressure washer. You hook that up somewhere downstream from your pump, and as long as you can, we had a slide of this. As long as you have a lower pressure nozzle or a larger oversized orifice, it will allow the downstream injector to really just pick up soap and draw. This is very effective for house washing. It's used in fleet washing. It's used in a lot of, we'll say, maintenance style cleanings because it does get you soap on the surface. It's only limited by how strong of a ratio you can get. Even with the best of injectors, your average draw with something like this is a 14-to-1 on the surface ratio. Yes, there are exceptions to that. You can get a little higher. Sometimes you're not getting as strong a mix with that. But if you have everything set up right, 14-to-1 is probably the average that a lot of guys get with their machines. Next thing we'll talk about is the X-Jet. So the X-Jet
uses similar technology, your downstream chemical injector. However, you're plugging the tool into the end of the gun jet assembly, so your water is exiting the nozzle last. The benefit to using this style of soft wash or cleaning detergent applicator, this does give you the strongest chemical ratio when utilizing your pressure washer. What would you say is your average for this?
So it starts at a 4-to-1 mixture if you're using a 4-gallon minute machine. As you go up from there, it tends to dilute it to 6-to-1 and 8-to-1 with some of your higher flows, but that's roughly your average that you're getting with that.
But this, of course, like we said, the X-Jet is how you're going to get, or similar type tools. These are the tools that are going to get you the strongest mixture on the surface if you're still using your pressure washer to inject the solution and not having another tool to apply full strength solution to the surface. So this is a great tool for starting out for soft washing. It's usually the method that I recommend first before getting into all the other cleaning tools that we're going to follow with. I like this one the best to get started. So next we're going to show
a pump-up sprayer, which a lot of guys sitting behind their computer are probably laughing as to why we threw this in here. But unlike the other two, this one doesn't actually have any limits. So we can go ahead and we're going to aim that on the camera for me. The reason I'm holding that up there is because the other ones, they have their limits with the ratio. This literally puts whatever's in the bucket. Yes, that sounds self-explanatory. But because of that and how maneuverable it is, a lot of guys use it for, we'll say, spot treating. It's very common when you're using acids to fill up the container with that. So you can put it straight on the surface instead of running it through your machine or running it through a pump. And with the higher application of product, that kind of moves you into the next phase, which is a 12-volt pump.
So we have our 12-volt pumps that can go in various flow rates. You certainly want to consider the amount of chemical that you're trying to apply to the surface, how quickly, I guess. This will give you whatever's in your mix tank. This is what's going to be applied to the surface, so you're not diluting any further. So unlike the downstream chemical injector and the X-Jet or other types of devices, this is going to be the first step for, well, aside from the pump sprayer, this is the next mechanism that's used for getting full strength solution to the surface. So good for roofs, especially, also flat work. It's not quite as popular for vertical surfaces because getting the distance with this style system can be challenging. However, this gets you probably the least amount of headache with the lowest cost. And as far as being replaceable, this style system should be able to be, the cost of this system should be able to be worked into your annual costs where you can just start out with a brand new pump each season. It's not uncommon for these to be somewhat disposable in the same ways that these are disposable. So, but this is a really handy way to use your, full strength solution to get it to the surface.
The one biggest benefit that he didn't get a chance to touch on, this is considered an on-demand pump. That means that when you squeeze the trigger, it is going to go ahead and release everything, and everything's going to come up. Pump's going to build prime, and it's going to do its thing. To segue into the next one, this is a gas-powered diaphragm pump. The reason I mentioned that on this does the exact opposite. Much like your pressure washer, it has an external bypass. A lot of times this will go back inside of your mix tank. It can agitate your mix for you. It even has a dump valve on it. This is the Comet P36 model that we like. This one's really popular over the 12 volt because it has a little bit more power. It even has a little bit more pressure, which is kind of contradictory when you're talking about soft washing. But this is something that is, I think this one does 4 gallons a minute at, I believe, 60 PSI. This one actually does 9 gallons a minute at 160 PSI. So you're still talking relatively low pressure. The biggest factor is, one, it's completely dependent. You don't need a battery like the other one. This one has its own gas engine, so you just pull it and you're ready to go. This can self-prime. It pulls off of a mixed tank, and just like the other one, it puts whatever's in that tank on the surface for you. And as you let go of the trigger, instead of the pump shutting down, it just bypasses back into itself. The difference between the two of them, like you said, that first one is disposable, whereas this is something that you're going to be rebuilding depending on how often you really service it, maintenance it, and take care of it, including flushing it. That's a huge factor in how long your pump is going to last.
For any of the tools, really.
Yeah. Rinsing is kind of key. Every single one of the products in their industry is or can be considered corrosive, and because of that, they just tend to wreak havoc on different types of machines. Anything else to say about this guy?
Of course, your pressure that you're going to be applying with, as Josh said, around 160 is your average. This, of course, you can manipulate with different nozzle patterns and orifice sizes to either increase or decrease the pressure that you're applying to the surface. So this system is, very manipulatable. This has a little bit more of a spectrum to which it can be manipulated than your 12 volt pump. So this is a really nice system and probably one of the more popular methods in today's process for soft washing.
Yep. So that kind of jumps us to our last one that we're going to demo for today, or show you guys today. This is the Yamada pump. As you can see, that is a air-powered diaphragm pump. This one is built with Teflon seals made specifically for handling sodium hypochlorite. One of the reasons this is probably my favorite pump is because it pretty much can do anything you want. As long as it's paired with the right compressor, that thing maxed out can actually do 46 gallons per minute, which is a little ridiculous for anyone in our industry. And Josh will kind of back this up in a second, but this is what a lot of chemical plants are actually using to move their products. So that's how durable these things are. Whereas your average life of these, he said this is one season, kind of disposable. Some guys are even fortunate if they get that. And then, this thing, guys get 2, 3, 4, 5 seasons out of it, no issues. That one actually starts at having a 10-year service life on it. So just to kind of put in the spectrum of how, we'll say it completely outclasses some of the other ones, and that's just because of really just how rugged they are. Another thing about that, it's kind of similar to the 12 volt pump in that it's more of an on-demand style. So unless you're squeezing the trigger, that pump's not really doing anything. It's just holding its prime. That means that when you're fully loaded up, like I said, it can move 46 gallons per minute. You're not going to be moving that, don't worry. You can tune it down to 8, 10 gallons a minute, but you have that demand to use the power when you need it to. So you can comfortably tune that down to say 8 to 10 gallons a minute. You'll easily be able to clean 4 to 5 stores from the ground. We've got several contractors that do that on a regular basis. But much like the other ones, you can also nozzle it down so that you're using, instead of 8 to 10 gallons a minute, you're dropping that down to even 1 to 2 gallons a minute. And all that's done is just by switching the different nozzle sizes. That kind of helps you control a lot of overspray. It helps you not waste, chemical because you're putting it specifically on the surface. You're limiting it a little bit more. Josh actually used to work with them a little bit, but what can you tell us about him?
So the diaphragm pumps are what we used to use in our chemical mixing applications when we mix here in our own facility. And they handle abuse. As I've told several people, I tend to mistreat my equipment more than I tell my customers to mistreat theirs. And we beat up our diaphragm pumps around here pretty bad over the past, at least the 14 years that I've been here. So diaphragm pumps will be the most forgiving for cases where You leave sodium, leave your chemical mixture in the inside the pump without flushing. Also, if you encounter a condition where debris has made its way into that pump, it's not as common for it to tear up an air diaphragm pump as it could on the gas-powered diaphragm pumps. So, they're not a whole lot of fun to take apart, but you break down a diaphragm pump, you can generally put it all back together and everything will work just fine, whether it's got brand new parts or not. So the air diaphragm pump is probably the most reliable in the harshest of conditions.
One of the reasons we were going to try to focus on soft washing a little bit today was because of some of the applications that it has in the real world right now. Josh has a really good analogy of pressure washing and cleaning used to kind of be like you were painting a house, where you had to get every single piece of it and you had to make the entire thing look even. It took a lot of patience, took a lot more work. And to be honest, it didn't actually look as good, because when you're just pressure washing or just using impact to move dirt around the surface, that's what you're doing. You're just moving dirt around. When it comes to any of the algae or organic growth that's growing on the side of, we'll even just say vinyl siding or something like that, if you're not treating it with anything, just like washing your hands without using soap, it's just if they're still dirty, it just kind of looks clean temporarily. And a lot of times when you do that, it doesn't last looking clean as long. So some other benefits of these is it really keeps you off of a ladder. So where you used to have to get up close and personal with every single square inch of that surface. The 12-volt pumps, they're comfortable for 2 to 3 stories. The gas-powered pump, that's easily comfortable for 3 to 4 stories. And with the right air-powered pump, you can very comfortably do 4 to 5 stories from the ground. And that's not any crazy extensions or anything like that. That's just all using the right tips. And even just a 3-foot extension can get you that distance. We had a nice little video to show that was just going to basically show us foaming up a house and shooting it down. We're not going to be able to post that right now. But
that video is to follow.
Yeah, eventually that'll go somewhere. But when it comes to soft washing versus pressure washing, the biggest thing is first you want to cool down the surface, which is where you're going to throw water on it, just flood everything. Basically, you want to get water everywhere where you're going to be spraying. Another thing that's important during that step is you want to rinse all you say organic life, but I'm talking like trees, bushes, plants, anything that has a chance of being damaged by the product that you're using. And then starting from the bottom, you just kind of work your way up to the top. The reason that's important is as the water in your mix evaporates, the chemical is going to get stronger. All that stuff is gradually going to come down the surface. As it does that, you're going to get clean marks, you're going to get run marks, and it's not going to look as pretty as if you did it in a very uniform way from bottom to top. It's really evident on stucco. You can see it on a lot of stone and masonry. That's where it really shows, just because of how deep the pores go on those surfaces. And then basically, as long as your mix is right, between 5 to 10 minutes of dwelling, you can sit there and basically just wait, watch it work. As soon as it gets to that point, all you gotta do is rinse it at that. There's no ridiculous amounts of pressure that you're gonna need. Pretty much the exact same application, whereas 160 PSI for the big guy, 60 for a little one. Those things hit around 120. That's all you're using to rinse these things down. And even with the downstream injectors, the X-Jet, the M-Jet, and just that initial standard one that we had, 500 PSI, more than adequate for house washing or really anything that you're trying to do with a vertical surface. The biggest thing in the industry right now is, not the biggest thing in the industry, but the biggest thing in house washing is treating organic growth. And that kind of jumps us into our next segue. Before we do that, do you have anything you want to add about house washing?
Nothing.
All right. So a huge factor in all of this right now, the whole country is kind of shut down because of COVID-19. And for those of you who aren't paying attention, it is a big deal. Companies are being shut down. There's people all over the place that are just out of work. And not that I'm encouraging anyone to try to capitalize on this, but this is a good chance for you to do some good for the community, really. And no, I'm not saying do it for free, but this is something that you can easily use to make money as a contractor. The CDC kind of sets this recommendation out there where they want you to clean and then disinfect the surface. Well, what does that mean? A lot of guys like to shortcut it and put their sanitizers with their degreasers that they're cleaning and sanitizing all at once, which is fine for your normal household cleaning. When it comes to doing things by their standard, being the CDC,
For sanitation.
yeah, for sanitation, there's a couple things that they require. The first, you got to clean the surface. That means getting everything off of it. Usually that's done with a high alkaline degreaser. It can be used with different acids depending on what the surface is. After you completely clean the surface, CDC right now is recommending a 0.5 mix of sodium hypochlorite to treat this virus. And it's
5% mix.
Yeah.
Just to clarify.
Sorry, I didn't put enough emphasis on that. To really treat this virus. And the reason that's important is if you're labeling anything as, we're offering sanitation services, you have to be compliant with them. Otherwise, that opens you up for a whole lot of liability. But with any of these methods of application that we talked about, you kind of got to hone into exactly what your ratio is. You get that on the surface, you be compliant with it, you let it get the average dwell time that you need, which in this case, they're recommending 5 to 10 minutes with that surface on there, or with that mixture on there, and then you go ahead and rinse it off, and at that point is when it's considered sanitized by the CDC standard. A lot of guys right now, if you're looking on some of the forums online, they're saying that they're cleaning down school buses, they're cleaning playgrounds, they're cleaning warehouse floors. A lot of guys are, my mind kind of went blank. What are some other things that?
The triage areas for outside of hospitals.
Yeah, that's a huge one right now.
I mean, grocery stores, I'm sure that everything's going to have its time for being sanitized.
Yeah.
Here moving forward after we get ahead of the virus, preventing it from returning will be key, and sanitation isn't just instrumental in eliminating COVID-19, but preventing it from its reemergence after we've got a better handle on it. So it's probably the time where sanitation becomes one of your key offerings in your house cleaning tool bag, so to speak. Number of years ago, using sodium hypochlorite was a considered to be possibly bad for the outside of your house. It could, kill your plants, and you afraid of it etching certain surfaces, bleaching things out completely. But this is probably one of the most versatile products that you come across. So, using it now and then making sure that you're, offering it for sanitation purposes moving forward is, it's one of the things we recommend that you consider.
It was kind of our goal to demo a few of these products and really show you the application process. We just can't do that at this time, so we do apologize for it.
We will be launching those videos here this week.
Yeah, ideally this week. We're not going to put a timeline on that. I do have a question for our marketing guy right now. Do we have question and answer available? We do. Okay. If you guys give us maybe 1 minute, we're going to see if we can pull up some of the Q&A and see what you guys have. If you have any questions, feel free to type them in the comment box below. We're going to spend maybe 5-10 minutes, depending on how many followers we have right now, and see what we got.
All right. Carlo Floria
Carlo Florio, what's up, man?
asked, what cleaning situations are we looking at?
So, I'm assuming as at the start of the video, these tools that we laid out in front of you are what a lot of guys are using in the industry for applying soap. It doesn't matter what application they're doing. We have guys that do concrete cleaning and they use something like this to throw it on the surface. We have guys that are cleaning houses using the exact same machine. I don't see a whole lot of fleet washers using this.
Although that wouldn't be a bad tool to use for them, it just probably is a little bit over their price range unless they have a whole fleet washing setup. In those cases, this would be ideal so that you can have one operator on the chemical while the other operators is prepared, prepping, wetting the surface or pre-wetting if necessary, keeping the chemical agents wet, and then rinsing once it's applied to the entire surface. So soft washing can be applied to the majority of your other cleaning methods, whether you're considering yourself power washing, pressure washing, or soft washing.
Yeah. So what he said, this is probably the cheapest 9-gallon machine you'll ever find. So it doesn't have a whole lot of pressure, but it definitely lays the water We got another question?
Yeah. Do we have,
Brian Belton says,
Yes.
would a house mix comply with CDC standards?
So that is kind of a generic question. Your house wash mix by itself would not, because most house wash mixes are going to have sodium hypochlorite mixed with something else. And I don't know what ratio you're hitting the surface with. As long as you are cleaning the surface first, followed by actually sanitizing it with the hypochlorite, you should be fine. But you definitely want to double check your draw strength. You want to check your ratios and make sure that you're compliant for your advertising like that.
Also, Brian, you asked if I had a dedicated 12-volt pump, do I need to use my pressure washer to rinse, or is there a way to do that with your 12-volt? The pressure washer is probably better for rinsing than your 12-volt. You'll certainly get a greater distance with the pressure washer. The 12-volt will give you the maximum strength chemical, and then even if you had just a 4004 pressure washer, you could use that to effectively rinse the outside of a house. I mean, technically speaking, if you had a strong enough garden water supply, you could rinse with that afterwards, but I think you probably would get a little bit better results, a little faster results with the pressure washer than you're going to get with other methods.
And there's nothing wrong with cleaning like that. I've seen a couple guys setups where they have a 3-way valve that they can hook up to the customer's water spigot, so they're force feeding their 12-volt pump. Not only is that a really good way to rinse out your pump, because you're basically power flushing everything, but you can get a little bit more distance, like you were saying, just using the garden hose. You get a little more distance if you run that through your pump first, as long as your pump can keep up with whatever the water supply is.
So Carrie Hammonds asked, what's the best surfactant you guys have for house washes with a 12-volt? So,
What was it?
all right, so I have a big issue with the use of the term surfactant in this industry.
And I knew he was going to say that. That's why I
It is a
first.
huge misnomer that we will clarify at a different time. However, for the sake of soft washing, you're going to usually use a foaming agent or a detergent, and those two cases will be different from one another depending on what you're cleaning. Now, our foaming agent that we sell, Maximus Foam, could compare to just about any other foaming agent that is sold in the soft wash and pressure washing industry. It can be added to a lot of different chemical mixtures, whether it be an acid, a bleach, or an alkaline degreaser. However, when you are looking for a detergent that may also have some high alkalinity to help to break down the material from the surface and or emulsify the dirt that's on the surface, that's where you're going to use your detergents. And I would say that our most popular one at this point in time is the Boss. But we also sell Powerbolt as a foaming agent in certain applications.
Yeah, so that one's going to kind of come down to preference. The Maximus Foam, that is literally just liquid suds. There's no cleaning additive in it. There's nothing that's going to do any cleaning. It is just a sud. The other ones that he was talking about, we have the Boss. I really like that one because it rinses away really nice. The sud dissipates pretty fast, making it easier to rinse, but it makes glass looking almost spot-free. Not quite there. It's not, really designed to do that. It just makes it look like it's got a real nice shine to it. And then Powerbolt's another good one that was popular. And the other one that we have is called Hellbender. That one's really good for washing houses. We have a lot of guys that like that because of the effect that it has on whitening gutters.
So just to let you know, Phil, yes, I use Boss and Powerbolt in washing my clothes. I don't typically use it in a shower. If I was going to use one of the two to shower, it would probably be the Boss. Lemon fragrance gives you a little bit better of a smell. But the Powerbolt's probably not going to irritate your skin quite as much.
was that to Phil?
That was to Phil, yes.
Yeah, I told him nasty. You should try it.
Yeah. Nasty is for decontamination purposes only, or
When you're really nasty.
or getting rid of bodies. Just saying.
I don't know if that's something we don't know if it's something
As far as I've heard that it's good for getting rid of bodies.
Yes.
Can you guys go over each chemical?
Yeah.
Since we didn't.
So
So to answer Dan's question, the foaming agent that we sell, Maximus Foam, is our new name for it, and it is available for ship through UPS ground or FedEx ground. It comes in 1s, 5s, and 55s. Obviously, the 55 you would have to ship by freight.
We're going to take a second to show some of the chemicals. I guess somebody asked about that. These are not the only chemicals that we carry. These are just some of the really popular ones that we want to bring out here. Nasty. The reason that's called Nasty.
The original Nasty. This is our formula, 100% the original Nasty. Heavy duty. Both sodium hydroxide and potassium hydroxide are the strongest active ingredients. It also has a butyl, glycol butyl ether, I believe is the chemical name. This right here, it'll burn your skin as soon as you get it on. We've had guys get it on in their boots, done some nasty stuff to their feet. Don't require yourself to get a skin graft from your butt to your feet and wear waterproof boots. So this is the best degreaser, strongest detergent. Well, I'd say, yeah, virtually the strongest detergent that we have in the warehouse these days. And I'm surprised at all the new ways our customers come up with to use it. It's been popular for dumpster pads and garage floors for a very long time. I've got some guys that use it for cleaning houses and for stripping decks too. So I think it's probably
what he's trying to emphasize there. You want to use that on a surface that can actually take it because of all the aggressive ingredients that it has in it. It is, I think it's chemically our most aggressive product, right?
probably.
Because, like I said, we have guys that use it for dumpster pads, and we got guys that use it for cleaning decks. But they're all different ratios in there, so don't think you can put it just straight on something. You'll get some pretty weird results depending on what you got.
And always keep in mind that water helps activate a lot of cleaning detergents. Just because you use it full strength doesn't always mean you're getting the maximum efficacy of the chemical that you possibly could.
Our next one that we got is Ruster Buster. This one is a very solid product for removing mineral stains. I know a lot of guys use it for, one, obviously cleaning rust, and the second use for it is cleaning car wash tunnels. The reason they like this one is basically it breaks down soapstone really well. It's a relatively inexpensive product. A little bit goes a really long way. What are some other uses for it? This one wasn't one I was personally familiar with when coming on board.
I mean, you can use Ruster Buster in a lot of instances where you would use oxalic acid, brightening concrete, removing rust stains. I would say those are probably the most popular applications. I mean, it's one of the most affordable products in that HF range. The chemistry between different hydrofluoric acid chemicals isn't always uniform, so mixing chemicals is a science, but using it in a cleaning application is an art. So don't always think that because you have one hydrofluoric chemical that it's going to work exactly like another hydrofluoric chemical. But this one's a good hydrofluoric chemical that will cover a lot of different bases, and it is one of the most affordable ones that we carry also.
Our last product that we wanted to showcase is Big Green Bruce. So this is a very popular product.
Yes, that's my picture.
Hey, beat me to that one. The reason that one's extremely popular is I have yet to meet a surface that this will damage. It's something that you can use on just about everything. I've used it on carpet cleaning in the past. I've used it, like you said, on getting stains out of stuff. We've done it to clean our warehouse before. We've used it on driveways. I've used it on concrete.
Good for brake dust.
Actually really good for brake dust. Got a lot of detailers that use it for just random stuff. I think there's a couple guys that use it for upholstery cleaning inside the vehicle. Same thing with floor mats. And it's just a really good general purpose cleaner. It's
very similar to other chemicals in the industry or in the other cleaning chemicals that have the term green in their name. We won't necessarily mention exactly which ones those are, but this is a pretty close formula. And but this is a commercially concentrated chemical, also one of our original formulas. And like you said, this is a really sturdy chemical for a lot of degreasing purposes, but not harmful to the surface. This one's not going to burn your skin the way the Nasty does.
Actually, the nicest part about that one compared to these other two, there's hazmat restrictions on both of these. You're limited to what you can put in your truck. This one, on the other hand, you can put up your vehicle with it because it isn't as aggressive as some of the other ones. There's nothing in it that limits your.
What he's trying to say is this is DOT non-regulated.
Yeah.
Unlike your SH and your hydrofluoric acid and your strong degreasers, this is not regulated by the Department of Transportation. Not that you should drive around with a 55-gallon drum in your minivan, but this you can carry without having to worry about getting hassled by the Department of Transportation.
What other questions we got?
Of course,
Doing him?
he skipped over our SH. We do, of course, as always, carry SH in 5, 15, and 55-gallon quantities. You know, unfortunately, this isn't one of those ones that we can say our brand is better than everybody else's because bleach is bleach like table salt is table salt. So, but we do get this as fresh as we possibly can from our suppliers, and it will burn through your clothing. So just like all the rest of the SH chemicals, this is what we recommend.
All right. We got any more questions?
So we got the question of what do we have for gutter brightening? That would fall into the Big Green Bruce at the moment. We recommend that for cleaning gutters. Unfortunately, at this moment, we used to have Gutter Bright, which we haven't really been able to replicate the formula very well with as of late. So having a chemical that can just be sprayed from the ground up onto the gutter surface and then just rinse it off. You could use the Big Green Bruce.
Big Green Bruce is pretty effective. Hellbender is pretty effective. We are working on a recipe specifically for gutters, but we're not quite ready to release that to you guys. There's still a few things that I'm working out of that, along with Josh's help.
That's a very sharp picture of you on your Facebook too, Brian. Just letting you know.
What else we got?
Let's see. Let's see. Do we have SH neutralizer?
All right, so the best one for that is sodium thiosulfate. As of right now, I can't competitively bring that in for you guys. It is something that you'll have to source independently that comes as a powder. That one's extremely effective because, well, because it comes in a powder, you can mix it as needed, but that's safe for pretty much any surface that you're going to run into. A lot of guys, when they're doing roof cleaning, they'll use that. They'll sprinkle it in the gutters so that everything's neutralized as it comes down. Some guys have even put that around flower beds and potting areas. That way you can just neutralize the runoff as it's getting flooded with water.
So the SH that we carry is 12.5%. The stuff that's in the blue jugs is actually, according to Brentag, can be measured as high as 15%. Of course, 15% is about the strongest you can get liquid bleach. And so they technically are shipping this at 15%, but we're only advertising it as 12.5%, so that we're within the range. Let's see.
Same thing with the drums, actually, too. We got 55-gallon drums from the same supplier.
So Phil asked how much we're charging for bleach right now.
In this video, we're not going to do any pricing. If you have any questions, feel free to call our shop or shoot us over an email. Is it Phil Rogers?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got our contact information. If not, we'll have it in the link below us shortly.
Let's see. That's all the most recent ones that I have.
Any more questions?
Anybody have any more questions?
Pat, yes, we can make arrangements to talk about the products. Doing it in shop right now might be a little bit of a challenge. If you contact me or Josh Wagner after the video, we can make whatever arrangements possible to go over the products with you. We'll try to work with you as best we can. We're trying to limit as many people in the showroom as possible at the moment.
Not the 6 foot.
For those of you who aren't paying attention, this 6 foot barrier, that's 6 feet, right?
This is a metric 6 feet. So.
That's unsarcastic. Right now. All right, guys. If we don't have any further questions, we'll give you guys another 30 seconds. We're gonna pick we're gonna do our prize drawing. So, just let me go ahead and we don't have anybody else.
Carlo says we're having fun.
I'm having fun too, Carlo.
That's what happens when your boss puts a keg in the office.
For those of you who didn't know, and for our boss. We're very appreciative that she has that for us and our
Yes,
customers.
thank you, Angela.
All right. So, any more?
David Edwards says, with current isolation precautions, how are you making sales? We are still considered an essential business, and we're acting as such. Those that need to work remotely are, so, but if you contact us, just about anything that you can order, we will ship, with the exception of certain products that have shipping regulations or restrictions. Thank you.
Yeah. The other thing we're doing is curbside pickup. So we do have signs on the door, and the showroom is locked. If you need anything, feel free to give us a call between 8 to 5. We still have our full staff. They're all on the call. Like you said, there's several guys working remotely that'll take your order.
True, and then also we are still doing service in our service departments, and there are mechanical technicians on staff during the day when possible. For our service appointments, call and make a request. We'll do what we can to work with you on that. And then also, if you were looking to purchase a machine and you needed some form of demonstration, we could make arrangements to do a appointment for that as well.
Yep.
Also live stream that or somebody.
That's a good point.
Yes, Brian, we're still servicing stuff. So, at this point, we're going to switch over to the drawing. If you do have any questions, please keep submitting them. We'll get to them as we possibly, as we can.
Josh, you want to give me your email? That way you can.
Yes, you can reach me at jlee, L-E-E, at dirtkiller.com. Wagner can be reached at jwagner at dirtkiller.com. That's Jwagner. And I can also be reached on my direct office line at 410-694-7257, which comes to my cell phone.
I didn't know that was our phone number. We have a couple of
Yeah,
them.
that's my phone number.
As your phone number? Oh, okay.
Don't be sending
All
your
right.
customers my phone number.
I'm going to give this to Mike so that he can get a little closer. This is Joshua Lindauer is our winner of the Soft Watch giveaway. That is JTBS Services. This is apparently uniform with all Josh's. We have really bad handwriting. But Josh, congratulations. We'll be in touch with you on Monday to let you know how we're going to get this to you. Congratulations, guys.
All right, any last questions?
No more questions as of so far.
All right, so I think we are good to go. We really appreciate everybody following us live. If you have any questions, feel free to hit those 2 emails. Click the link below.
Yeah.
Closing thoughts?
If you'd like.
Give us good feedback and we'll do this again.
It's a good point. In the meantime, don't forget to turn the water on.
That's my line.